Hello everyone, I'm D, welcome back to 24 Frames, and I have a quickie for you. Or I will when I get back. I'm on my way out to see one of the premiere screenings for Batman the Killing Joke. So I figured I'd talk about it now, give you a little preamble before I go and see it, and then come back later with a quickie review. And I'm going to start by giving you my opinion of The Killing Joke as a comic. Okay, some quick background. When I was like 4, I stumbled across a marathon of the old Adam West series, and the very first thing Batman related I ever saw was Yvonne Craig playing Batgirl. Batgirl is why I like DC Comics. She's what got me reading DC storylines. So, needless to say, Batgirl holds a particularly special place in my heart. And having said that, if you've read the Killing Joke comic, you can probably guess how I feel about it. And without spoiling it, it's less what happens to Barbara as much as how it happens. Barbara is literally in this comic just long enough to suffer, be demeaned and brutalized, and then to make Gordon and Batman really angry and sad. That's it. And she deserves better than that. Look, Alan Moore's a great writer. I know this comic has a lot of fans, but when you introduce a character into a story just long enough for them to suffer, just so you can motivate two other characters, that's lazy writing. Even if you don't use a key, noteworthy character to do it. Even if you randomly just start someone new, it's still lazy writing. It's not Barbara's story, and yet for some reason she's brutalized in it to motivate someone else's narrative. It would suck if it was Nightwing. Even when they killed off Jason Todd, he at least got to go out saving someone's life. Barbara gets nothing. So yeah, as a Batman fan, kind of bugs me, and it's just not great narrative structure anyway. Now, that's not to say there's nothing good in The Killing Joke. There are some good bits. I like that Gordon is treated as the moral center, and I do appreciate how thoroughly it examines just how horrific the Joker's chaotic evil nature is. So, there is stuff to work with, but there's also a few hurdles of doing an animated adaptation. One is time. Even if you did a line-by-line retelling of this story, even the writers admitted that would only be maybe 30 minutes. So, not only do we need to find a way to fix the issues with Barbara in this, we also need to find a way to give Batman more presence, we need to find a way to make sure that we don't step too heavily on any of the Gordon stuff, and we need to keep all of the brutality of the Joker front and center, as that is this story's main selling point, while also expanding this story out to be the bare minimum of feature length. That is a pretty tall order to fill. So the real question is, can they do it? Well, let's find out. I'll be back later with my review.
24 Frames.
No, they couldn't. Okay, so to address the issue of time, they added an A story that is meant to give Batgirl more screen presence, and instead is mostly about how Batgirl really wants to hook up with Batman. Which, if, like me, you are a big fan of these characters and have been reading and following them for years, is messed up on so many levels. And setting that aside, it's completely irrelevant. It's an entirely separate story. Once it's done, we just move on to The Killing Joke, and nothing that happened in it is ever even mentioned, because it doesn't matter. So it's really just there as an attempt to flesh her character out, and it just makes it so much worse. And once that's done, we get into the main story, which is literally just The Killing Joke shot for shot, but with really inconsistent animation. Like, they showed us some behind-the-scenes stuff after the film was done, and I got to see some of the storyboards done by Tucker, and that was great. Expressive, and great angles, and some shots pulled right out of the comic. But then the film barely works. There are shots that look perfect. Key shots, the scene of Joker with the wine glass and laughing right after the Red Hood incident, that are pitch perfect, look glorious. Everything else ranges from meh to actually kind of inconsistent and bad. Some really jerky frame rates in there. And the juxtaposition from bad to to glorious makes this film visually very inconsistent. And I'm not sure how that happened. It has an excellent voice cast, obviously. Conroy, Mark Hamill, Tara Strong, all great. But the script and the artwork and the visual aesthetic is so inconsistent to bad that everything I didn't like about The Killing Joke is in strange ways kind of amplified here. So if you're like me and you never really liked The Killing Joke, I wouldn't bother with this. If you did like The Killing Joke, well, then you've got half a movie worth watching. And then this weird thing in the front of it. Make your own decisions, guys. I'll see you at the next review, but right now, I'm just gonna go watch Mask of the Phantasm.